confident that a CSE student can come up with a easy app that fixes the structure and uploads it for a few K, no problem. But they can't do it on that locked system.
Yeah, it's interesting. And one of the
Yeah.
there's an author who talks about this sort of idea of like the hood being welded down and you can't see how things are working versus
Yep.
generativity in which people are adding on and building. And it's interesting because when we were practicing this in front of some of Althea's housemates the other night, one of the first questions we got was, well, you know, you can jailbreak in an iPhone. Like, can you do that with the Kindle? Like, people want to be able to interact with these things, and I think that's also a very powerful force, and that's why, you know, it hasn't been completely successful to shut things down, even with the music industry. Like, that's still not over yet. We don't know exactly how it's going to fall out, but there's this constant tension between companies who want to set things up and control them in ways that best benefit them, and, you know, hackers or people who, you know, feel like they have something to add and want to be participating in that. And I think that's one of the powerful forces that could affect how this turns out.
And the thing about like jailbreaking and that, and it relates to what we brought up with the browser app agreement, is that a lot of times there are these licensing agreements that maybe you're not entirely aware of all of the aspects of them, but when you do something like break into your device that you weren't supposed to break into, it voids all the warranties. It's possibly even illegal, and that's part of what we wanted to talk about with like the idea of a license versus a sale, is because you don't have the right to do a lot of the things that you might want to do when you're just being licensed the use of something. And so far, it seems like the browser app agreement hasn't been tested in courts, so you know, it's kind of speculative, and a lot of that is kind of what Amazon is saying, is that they're saying we're not selling this to you. But it seems like the Digital Millennium Copyright Act sort of upholds this notion that that the license and the legal agreement can sort of supersede what you otherwise might be able to do under copyright.
So it's kind of changing the whole idea of what it means to purchase something or to own something.
Or to read something. Yeah. So thank you for that.
You mentioned that you had lots of good quotes from students. Did you have any to share, or like how did that part of this go?
Well, when we interviewed the students, they didn't really use the Kindle, was basically what we found out. They tried, and it didn't work out. I had an interview with one of the CSE students, and he was saying that in terms of e-texts, he had started reading stuff on his iPhone, on the bus, for example, because it's so easy. But when he tried to, and it was like so seamless, just reach in your pocket and do that. But with the Kindle, it just didn't work out that way, and he would want to take notes on something, and he would have to like get out a separate notebook and a pen and write, and it was like so ridiculous. It was like time traveling back and forth between the two means of education. And so he was saying he just ended up using his laptop, and he's like, it's a cool idea and I like it, but I don't use it at all. So, and then another student said that he liked it for when he was in transit, but that kind of brings up some of the things that we were exploring with different kinds of learning styles. Like, this student didn't need to take notes and stuff because that's not the way his mind worked. So he would use it, but even so, he ended up printing things out and using his laptop just as more so than even his Kindle.
And one quotable quote that I found in the course of our research, not from a UW student, but there was one particular student from Princeton who got quoted all over the place because he called the Kindle a poor excuse and an academic tool. So.
Did you find any positive aspects of using the Kindle?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can say that having played with a Kindle, I don't own one, but my housemate does, they really are very easy to read from as far as the resolution goes. The e-ink typology looks really nice compared to, I think, what we're used to from reading off of a computer. So that's one benefit of it. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
wow, I totally forgot about that. I was on the airplane coming back from New York, and we had just started this project. This wasn't a student, but I saw this guy reading on a Kindle, and I'd really been eyeing him up the whole plane ride. I'm like, I wonder if he likes it. And so when we were getting up to leave, I was like, my mind was really on it. When we were getting up to leave, I said, I see you're reading on a Kindle. How do you like it? He's like, oh, it's great. I don't have to buy newspapers anymore. This thing is so great. I don't think, I might never go back. And I said, to paper? And he said, to paper. So, I mean, there are some people who are really enthusiastic about it, for sure.
So did any of the students think it was good, or how many people did you interview?
We only interviewed 3, but in the course of the research at all of the pilot programs, they were like, oh, it works. It could work, but it doesn't. Like, nobody was like, yes, I love this.
I think the main thing that came up with all of the pilot programs, because the media coverage, I mentioned the issue with the lawsuit with the National Federation of the Blind, but basically that lawsuit and then the fact that it was just kind of a non-event, none of the schools decided that they were going to try and use Kindles, speaks to the fact that they're not there yet. However, it's really interesting to compare e-readers now with what people 10 or 12 years ago thought e-readers were going to be and the types of capabilities that they were hoping for. Everything from, like, just having a stylus to take notes that would recognize your handwriting and then suggest helpful websites and articles, which might be a little out there, but to just like not only printing off articles and books from your device, but also scanning paper copies in. So we do think that there are, as you mentioned before, with e-text and with e-readers, I think, great potential and capabilities for being able to help people learn to read. It's just that there are some things like note-taking in particular that seem to be really helpful and necessary to people's learning that haven't quite caught up yet.
You want to read Harry Potter if this is your device.
Going back to the original quote though, and how the tools can change us, you guys have you all questioned the whole academic structure and what is required of you to learn, and how maybe that can be freed up and changed if we followed a different pattern of learning. The ease of reading a book, the ease of learning should be as fun and as interactive as reading Harry Potter. To be able to maybe communicate between readers, to be able to, like you said, have pages that you could number, or that you could set. But I mean, these are all potentialities that should be looked at as how can e-readers change education.
We found a really wonderful article by an education professor who was teaching a class of her education students about possible ways of integrating e-text into their elementary school classrooms. And they came up with some wonderful suggestions about how to essentially personalize instruction through e-texts by attaching encouragements to certain that you would know that maybe some students needed more encouragement or more explanation or kind of different worksheets and things like that, ways of communicating with students through e-texts, sounding out words, that students being able to sound out words as they were reading and things like that. So I think there are some really wonderful possibilities. That, as far as we were concerned, and this is definitely debatable, that relates more to e-texts rather than to e-readers, in the sense that the thing that's really flexible is the e-text.
And the thing is that also kind of depends a little bit on the people that are writing the texts. And one of the things that we haven't really explored that much in our research yet, but like last fall in Open Access Week, they were talking a bit about just sort of the structure of academic publishing and that the whole sort of network around that. And I remember someone talking about sort of the potentials of if you take away paper publishing and you're just talking about publishing electronically, that there's a lot more that you can do, and it involves things like hyperlinks and collaborative writing and that sort of thing. And so I think, again, part of what we're trying to do here is speak to an academic community about how we have a part in this. those things may be possible, but if no one's taking advantage of